A massive funeral cortege winds its way through the streets of modern Bangkok. It is the culmination of a year spent mourning the death of Thailand's most popular lady, the mother of the king. The Princess Mother was 95 when she died, and like Diana, Princess of Wales, inspired a massive outpouring of national grief. With her passing, the Thai monarchy lost one of its greatest assets, a woman with a common touch who inspired loyalty and devotion. From her personal secretary, Dinada Dikul, she inspired even greater devotion.
I will exchange my life for her because she would do much more so for the country than I personally can do. Really seriously, because I've been her secretary, private secretary for 28 years. So I will, exchange my life with her life. I mean it, literally.
Following her death in 1995, the Princess Mother lay in state in the Dusit Throne Hall as a steady line of family and close friends came to pay their respects. But they were far from alone. In the months before the final cremation ceremony, the official visiting times had to be abandoned. Hundreds of thousands of people flocked from all over Thailand, desperate for a last chance to say goodbye to the woman who had brought the monarchy closer to their own lives. This outpouring of grief seemed to mark the end of a period of unprecedented growth and stability. Almost a year later, the glittering facade of the economic miracle would begin to fade. (1996), and the Princess Mother's private secretary has been asked by the king to organize the details of the cremation ceremony. It's an opportunity for him to show his loyalty and devotion.
เป็นไงได้รูปดีไหมพอใช้ได้เดี๋ยวพยายามเอาให้ดีทางนี้ใช้ได้หมดแล้วนะ It's not me alone, you see. What we're talking about, talking about the whole nation. Everybody, the whole nation, 60 million, would, if give them a chance, they will come right here. 60 million and help us to work for her, especially for Her Royal Highness the Princess Mother. Everybody would like to have a hand. If you ask anybody here or outside, standing outside by the roadside, would you like to come and help to touch up or to clean and so on? They said, give me the chance, give us the chance, we will do it. So it's not me, I'm talking for the whole nation. For me personally, I would say I would give more than my all, personally.
The Fine Arts Department have been working round the clock for months to prepare the site where the final ceremony will take place. Within the walls of the Grand Palace, the monarchy has always been bound up with ceremony and ritual. For over 800 years it has dazzled its people, bewitched them with its pageantry, and provided them with an endless stream of speculation, intrigue and rumour, none of which is ever talked about in public. Although the monarchy's power hasn't been absolute since the early part of the century, it still retains the trappings and protocols of a medieval court. But unlike its European counterparts, the Thai system still retains the law of lèse-majesté, which can mean up to 15 years in jail for anyone who dares to criticize them.
Defaming the king is like defaming God in the Middle Ages. All the Thai press don't dare to mention anything negatively on the king. For instance, the king gave a speech for 3 hours. Sometimes, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense. They all praise the king. It's wonderful.
What Sulak Sivaraksa says may seem harmless, but in Thailand people are stunned by what they see as his blunt nature. He is never far from controversy, and as Thailand's most outspoken critic, has been jailed for his views.
But I'm the only one who is known to criticize the king openly. The law of lèse majesté is not to help the king. It helps the dictators. It helps the politicians, particularly the right-wing politicians. That's why I want it to be abolished, because the Republicans never open their mouth. See, those who open their mouths are those who want to preserve the monarchy. And I think if you want people to preserve the monarchy, you must allow them to criticize the monarchy openly.
Within the sanctuary of their palaces, the royal family is surrounded by a tight-knit elite, loyal courtiers vying for positions of influence. The result is a monarchy removed from the real world, their public face replaced by those of the royal courtiers. Yet the Princess Mother came from another world, far away from the rigid confines of the royal household. The area of Bangkok where she grew up has hardly changed at all. She was born into a poor family, commoners from the wrong side of the river. Her parents were local goldsmiths, and they called their daughter Sangwan. No one ever expected her to become a member of the royal family, which is the very reason for her popularity. Shortly before her death, the king built a museum of her life and a sanitized reconstruction of her childhood home. Years later, her daughter, now a princess, wrote a book of her life called What My Mother Told Me. It is one of a very few books that tells us anything about her private life.
บ้านนี้เป็นบ้านเดี่ยวชั้นเดียวแล้วก็มีห้องรับแขกเพียงห้องเดียวเราต้องใช้ห้องนี้สำหรับทำอาหารด้วยเพราะบ้านนี้ไม่มีห้องครัวแยกออกไปอีกต่างหากก่อนที่จะถึงประตูทางออกจากบ้านจะมีหิ้งพระพุทธรูปองค์เล็กๆที่ครอบครัวของเราจะใช้เป็นที่บูชาและสวดมนต์ทุกเช้าและทุกเย็นบ้านนี้ไม่มีห้องน้ำอยู่ในบ้านแต่มีตุ่มน้ำใหญ่ๆ2 ตุ่มตั้งไว้ข้างนอกบ้านเอาไว้ใช้อาบน้ำหรือบางทีเราก็จะเดินไปอาบน้ำกันที่คลองหรือแม่น้ำใกล้ๆบ้าน
By never forgetting her roots, she became the favorite of the Thai people. The way of life she described is a familiar story to the millions of Thais who still live this way. To think this little girl would grow up to be the mother of 2 kings seems an unlikely story.
The princess mother is a very unique phenomenon. I knew her. She was kind to me. She was very good to my sister, and so on. She was good to everyone. She's very humble, very approachable. She ate simply, dressed simply, and she would rather collect money. She collect flowers, made to cart, and she sold to the rich a big amount of money, and she would spend them on to the poor. She was wonderful with the poor. She was the first commoner, won scholarship to study nursing in America, and the prince who gave her the scholarship fell in love with her and married her. First time in the royal family that a celestial prince married a commoner with no roots whatsoever. She came from the lowest of the low.
Sangwan fell in love with and married Prince Mahidol, a member of the royal family far from the line of succession to the throne. The marriage was allowed as no one ever imagined what the future would bring. They spent the next decade living in America, where Prince Mahidol was training to be a doctor. They had a daughter and 2 sons. The prince received his final medical degree from Harvard in 1928, and the family returned home. Refused permission by the royal court to practice as a doctor in Bangkok, he left for the far north to work in an American hospital. The mosquito-infested region took its toll, and he died, leaving Sangwan widowed and bringing up her young family alone. Her husband's funeral was a small affair with little pomp and ceremony, very unlike his wife's, whose life would take a different course and end with the highest honor conferred by the grandest ceremony seen for decades. With 2 weeks to go before the cremation ceremony, the focus is the Pra Meru, a funeral pyre based on an ancient design that has cost millions to build. It is a physical representation of the Buddhist heaven.
Well, we're in the middle of the Buddhist cosmology. This is our universe, with the various ranges of mountains outside and the oceans. And in the middle of all this is the crematorium, which is the Meru mountain, in the middle of the heaven.
At a distance, the building looks like the real thing. In fact, it is a temporary structure built of paper and wood. The raw materials